Now, if I'm waiting for my drink at Starbucks, I am to pull out my phone and find something to do, even if I don't have anything to do, even if there isn't anything to check, right? If we want to help our kids break the heroin addiction, we have to break our own. We have to stop reaching for our rectangles.
This episode is brought to you by the Arts Council for Monterey County. What makes life feel real? It's expressing yourself, finding your people, and using art to heal, grow, and be heard. The Arts Council for Monterey County, Arts for MC, believes the arts benefit everyone. They bring art into schools, community centers, and public spaces, and support students with scholarships, workshops, and programs like Poetry Out Loud and Youth Poet Laureate. Whether you're an artist or just looking to be inspired, your journey starts here. Learn more at arts4mc.org. That's arts, the number 4, mc.org. And remember, they're also proud sponsors of this podcast. So thank you to the Arts Council for Monterey County.
What up, what up, what up? Welcome back to Offline Expression. My name is Jeff Hinderscheid. This is my co-host, Victoria Jones. Say hi, Victoria.
Hello, everyone.
We are back. Today, we have a very special guest, as always. Angela Caldwell, please say hello to our listeners. Angela?
Hello, listeners. Happy to be here.
Excellent. Oh, man. Don't mind us. Just doing a little dance. You know, it's a beautiful day. It's hot out. Enjoying the last few weeks of summer. That's crazy. Last few weeks of summer. Victoria, what are you thinking about that?
Not good. I had my high school registration today.
You did. How'd it go?
I mean, it's fine. You just, get a couple papers, but...
Just a couple papers. That's it. You walked away, and the only thing you walked away with was a couple papers?
Yeah, 2 papers and...
Like any classes or anything for next year?
Oh, well, the papers said the classes on them.
And how did it go? Did you get stuck in some stuff you didn't like? You get everything that you wanted?
I got all the classes I wanted, but, what classes do you really want? What anyways?
Touché.
But I did get everything that I signed up for, so I guess I'll take that as a win. I don't have a lot of my friends in all of them. That's kind of disappointing.
Oh,
A little
bummer.
kind of crying about that, but it's okay.
That's okay.
I'll make new friends.
Yeah, exactly. You've got such a good positive attitude about it, you know? You'll make new friends, right? Angela, you have had or do have high schoolers, right?
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, yeah. Remember those days? The registration for classes?
Oh, I thought you meant it for clients. Mine are little still. I'm looking ahead to high school when at which point I would probably ship them off to military school because I'm not dealing with it.
There you go. Yeah. We all have our strategies, right? And that's certainly a good one. But yeah, you have high schoolers as clients, of course. Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, Victoria, I'm glad that you got the classes that you signed up for. That's always a win. And I think celebrating it as a win is a good thing. I'm bummed for you. I know how close you and your friends are. And sometimes there's a healthy competition that comes with that, with the way that the class goes and stuff, you know?
Not with my friends.
Not with your friends. Well, I remember sometimes throughout the year being like, well, I have this grade, but the only person that got better than me is Sophia. But, Sophia and I are cool. So I thought we'd do name dropping. How many Sophias are there in the world? Is she listening?
No.
Oh, man. Well, now we have a new mission, guys. We got to get Sophia on here. But that's a good thing. And you've got a couple weeks to let it all settle in. But Angela, you have a lot of high school clients. So before we get into that, why don't you tell everybody who you are, what you do, and how you come to work with high school age clients?
Sure thing. So I am a licensed marriage and family therapist in Southern California. I've been doing this for about 20 years. I tend to work with, I used to say that I work with, high conflict families or families that are difficult until it occurred to me that all families are difficult. And so now I work with families.
Just family now.
Yeah, exactly. I used to have a very specific specialization that brought more teens to my practice, and so I think I probably got a reputation for that. And so I like to think that I'm pretty good with teens. I guess Victoria's going to give me the verdict at the end of this year, but yeah, I do. I have because of the way that I am known, my reputation. I tend to get families that are fighting a lot, and usually it's because teenagers are old enough to have opinions and preferences and speak their minds, and parents don't always like what they're hearing, so they end up on my couch.
Yep. Yeah, you know what? That's so wonderful the way that you said that, because I was thinking this morning, I was thinking about, like, I've worked with a lot of high schoolers, and we just got done with a project that culminated in this great performance that they all did on Saturday. And so um, it's so rewarding, but it is exhausting. You know what I mean? Because we're not at the same developmental place as teenagers. And if you don't know how to meet a high school age student where they're at, it can be really riddled with conflict, because we're not speaking the same language all the time. But when you're able to speak that language, it's so much fun, and it's such a much better relationship. Everybody's having a good time, respect one another, and it's really rewarding. And so I think you get a lot more out of that. So I'm sure that you are an expert in that area, having to speak to
I
them.
definitely pretend to be, yeah.
That helps. So, like, well, let's just unravel that for a second. Like, do you find that usually the doorway into your services comes through the parent, or is it through a school with a student and something that's going on, or is it both? Is it like 50-50?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would say that most 99% of calls that I get are from parents. But that could be the parent wants the therapy, or the parent had been referred by the school or by a doctor or by a psychiatrist or something like that. In rare cases, the teenagers themselves will call up and ask me for details about therapy. Now, legally, it eventually has to be, the parent has to consent and pay and all that stuff. So eventually I'm working with parents, but
Right.
yeah.
Do you deal with families that are going through, like, situations with the court system and such?
Yeah, that makes up probably a third of my practice. Those are tough cases because it's easy when you hear about those cases to dismiss them as like, oh, that's just a bad family, that's just a dysfunctional family. But the truth is, the kinds of things that end families up in court can really happen to any of us.
Right.
And that those are really sticky situations that we try to get people out of as best we can. But usually, everybody in those situations is have their own story about how they got there. And when you sit and you talk and you listen, you hear that actually most people are pretty good people. Most families are pretty good families, and the way they got themselves into this mess is because somebody thought they were doing the right thing. Somebody else thought they were doing the right thing. Somebody else thought they were doing the right thing, and we ended up in a giant cluster.
Yep. Do you know any teenagers that are like, hey, I think I could use me and my family could use therapy? Do you know any like that, Victoria?
So like I know some that maybe I would refer to therapy, but I don't know that they would say that. I don't think a lot of people I know would say that.
Right.
A couple of families come to mind that I think need to talk some things out, but
Man,
I hear you because I'm thinking the reason that mostly it's parents calling me is because most teenagers, the last thing they want to do with their afternoon or evening is sit in a room and talk to their family members. So, yeah, it's usually parents that are giving me a call.
that's a good point. Yeah, you're very diplomatic. I think you said that very well. It's funny, huh? Like how we know enough about therapy, whether you've been in it yourself or not, to know that it's a positive thing. It's like going to the doctor for emotions and thoughts and all these kinds of things. So when you are at any level, from basically adolescence on, when you're in a friendship or any sort of relationship, there's stuff to work out. There's emotional highs and lows and all that stuff. So everybody's familiar with that. So when you can come out on the other side and thinking about people or families, and you're like, they should talk some things out. I think that's a really good way to put it, with a mediator. So tell us about, so you have the Caldwell Family Institute, right? And
Yes,
you
sir.
founded this, and what is that in relation to your practice? Is it the same thing, or are we talking about a more expansive thing? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I guess mostly it's the same thing. We call it the Caldwell Family Institute because there's a team of therapists and we all work together on cases. There's before the pandemic, we had all these designs on these family retreats that we had planned. We actually so bummed out about that. We had planned this beautiful family retreat like that was going to be a month after COVID hit us and everybody shut down, so we didn't get to do that. We haven't really been able to return to that yet. But it'll encompass. Hopefully, we're returning to that. It'll encompass, larger family retreats. We do trainings. I do a lot of public speaking, and so it's mostly practice, and then all the other stuff I just said.
Yeah. Okay. So when I hear institute, I don't know, man. I think I need to be educated on here a little bit on that, because when I hear institute, I think of a facility, I think of an institution, I think of a campus, I think of, I don't know. It feels very like a formal, holistic view of multiple different things. Am I picking up on that right? Is it mostly, is there a remote component to that is more
No,
foundational?
I think you have it. So you I'm going to talk to the remote aspect. So no, we are brick and mortar. We are a physical building. You
Okay.
come in physical offices. When we all shut down in COVID, of course, therapists, just like everybody else, went online. And I'm a family therapist, which, believe it or not, is a little bit more of a rare breed in my field. Most people do individual couple counseling, but family counseling is more rare. I did what everybody else did. I started seeing families online, and man, that was a disaster.
Yeah.
I and that lasted. I think I gave it a good 2 or 3 months before I said, that's it. I'm going to call myself an emergency responder and we are going back in person. So
Yep.
I did family therapy in person throughout the pandemic, just with all of the masks and spacing and, all of the
Right.
precautions that I'm taking. Because what I learned quickly in that remote attempt that I made is that as a family therapist, I have to be able to control the room.
Yeah.
There's a lot of personalities, there's a lot of opinions, there's a lot of hurt feelings, there's a lot of complicated dynamics, and I have to be able to use my body, believe it or not, and my hand signals and my body language to say, hey, stop, she's not finished, let her finish, hold on, okay, what were you saying? You know what, let me have you step out of the room, and I have to do a lot of kind of like stage directing in a play.
Oh, nice.
And I just couldn't do it online. I had people slamming computers shut. I would have these private conversations and then find out somebody was in the room the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah,
Oh,
institute, it's a brick and mortar facility, a building. It's not, the facility sounds like a warehouse. No, it's office. It's nice office, couches and snacks.
Excellent. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. That's what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Excellent. Well, I was with the Department of Social Services for 11 years, and the last few years was with CPS, Child Protective Services, as a journey level social worker with the Family Reunification Unit. So, kids that had been removed and parents had been arrested, and then there's group homes and there's sober living environments and all those things, right? And when COVID hit and we were expected to do all of our home visits with children via Zoom and foster parents via Zoom and group homes via Zoom, it was so unethical on so many levels for that exact thing you said. There's people off camera that you can't see that can hear. And those kids aren't responding the same way because they don't have the privacy or the safety of you being there. You're not getting the information you need. There were so many times when I knew something was not right. And no matter how, and like certain families, we were somehow, I don't know how it worked, but certain families we were allowed to go and see in person and we were emergency response, whereas that was more for like, literal emergency response. Like someone called CPS, there's an act of something going on, cops are there, people have to get there and do something, versus ours were monthly home visits with all the main players in the game while you're waiting through 6 months to get back to court and so on and so forth. So that wasn't considered the same for every social worker. And so that was a real problem for me. And eventually that I resigned after that 11-year career because of the COVID experience. Um, to your credit, good for you for being like, nope, we need to do this in person. And you're right, controlling the room, all the nonverbal stuff. I mean, there's a million reasons why it's important to have therapy in person most of the time. Now, if somebody's seeking it on their own accord and they're an adult and they're where they are is where they are, that's totally different. But family dynamics, like you said, is very rare and it's completely different in every single family. So, good for you. I think that's the way to do it. So, this institute, you've got this beautiful brick and mortar place. You've got a team. You do public speaking, you said. So you're actively involved in community things as well. Tell us about like what this experience has been since COVID or in the last decade with the digital and technological age. That's the word.
Oh boy, Jeff, you just handed me a giant soapbox.
Oh, good. Finally, you can borrow mine because I'm always the one on it.
Um, okay, what has this experience been like? So I think I want to answer your question from a clinical standpoint. And kind of what I have observed. And of course, my colleagues, we all talk to each other. So it feels like a consensus. It feels like what a lot of us are observing. There was this terrible hurricane of traumatic events that happened with COVID, right? And so building up to COVID, we had a decade or so, about a decade, maybe a little less, of introducing the world to social media. And this idea that seemed so cool at first, because if you remember how we used to talk about it, it was, oh, you can connect with friends. Right. Period. That's it. That was what it was for, was connecting for friends. When it became this war zone of putting people down and trash talking people because you could hide behind anonymity and you didn't have to be socially appropriate because you could be digitally inappropriate, and then you could have this sort of fake feeling of friends, which I always told people is like junk food, of like feeling like you're liked, but then kind of wondering why you don't feel very liked because you're not really, it's not real. And okay, so we have this kind of buildup of more activity from teenagers on social media, and at the same time, this correlation. And I know all the researchers are going to yell at me that correlation is not causation, but you can't ignore it. This correlation of a decline in teenage mental health. Now, so this is before the pandemic, right? So you're seeing this increase, and all of us that are working with people that are Victoria's age, all of a sudden we're getting more and more and more and more complaints of teenage depression, teenage eating disorders, teenage anxiety, teenage suicide. And all of us are looking at each other going, is it me or are you getting a lot of these calls? And everyone's going like, wow, we're getting a lot more than we used to. And what's the difference that we see? Well, a few, but one of the big ones was activity on social media. I do want to say as a side note that there have been plenty of studies showing the correlation, but there have been these anecdotal, almost like personal accounts. Really interesting. And Victoria, I'd be curious if you've heard of any of these, but these teenagers that have been interviewed now that they are 16 or 17, talking about how they regretted how much access they had to social media, and how they themselves attribute, say an eating disorder or an anxiety disorder to the amount of time they had spent on social media. I'm flashing on this one that I heard. I can't think of her name. Maybe I'll be able to get it to your show note. But there was this one interview of a 16-year-old whose parents had decided not to allow her on social media. And she described kind of going to high school, in middle school and high school, and having a little FOMO, being left out of the inside jokes and like not loving that, but had reached age 16 and was so glad that she was not carrying the same weight, the same emotional gravity that her peers seemed to be carrying. And so that I remember hearing that and thinking, I thought so. I think we are onto something here. So I'm sorry, this is turning out to be a huge answer here, but so there's
no, go for it.
So but there's a buildup, right? And we have this sort of, it's no longer teenage angst. This is becoming like pretty alarming to therapists, the stuff that we hadn't seen before. At the same time, there's a parenting movement, which demographically you can kind of understand, because Jeff, it's probably parents that are our age, right? That are remembering how we were parented and really not liking 2 or 3 things about how we were parented, particularly how our feelings, our emotional lives were so ignored and sometimes even squashed, right?
Yep.
So then you see this parenting movement swinging over to, oh my gosh, I will not do that to my child. But we see a pendulum swing and we say, on the contrary, I'm going to make my child's emotional life central to the household. Oh my gosh, you're having a feeling. I want to hear every word of it. I want to hear all about it. I want to hear how big it is. And I think inadvertently, let's see, this is kind of going on the same time as this exposure to social media. Inadvertently, parents are making it worse because they're going like, oh God, there's a big feeling happening. Oh God. Okay, everybody sit down, put your seatbelt on. It's going to be bad.
Right?
Yes, exactly. So we see this. And so we have this kind of, this pressure on our kids what is it? I don't know, all the followers and likes and kicks and whatever you're doing there. Right. So there's all this pressure. Not only that, but they have exposure that Jeff, you and I didn't have to world news. Like, I don't know about you, but I was in 5th grade when the Challenger exploded, and we only heard about it because they wheeled in the TV to watch the launch.
Yeah. I remember like 3 things: the O.J. Simpson, Bill Clinton, and you know what I mean. Like, and if it wasn't like on every channel and everybody in the house was already talking about it, you really didn't find out or care to know.
We were playing kickball, and we were out,
climbing trees.
Yeah, and which is a good, healthy sort of growth environment for the brain, because the brain is developing and doesn't have the capacity to process all these really complex and sophisticated things happening in society. I look at people like Victoria, and I think when I was your age, I mean, you're probably hearing about Israel and Gaza. You're hearing about the controversy in the Trump administration. You're hearing about what's going on in college campuses. I didn't have to deal with all of that. I can't imagine teens having so much exposure to all of the wrong things in the world with such a smaller brain than mine. Like yours is still developing, right? So we have this. And then 2020, the world collapsed, right? And if you guys remember, at first, we didn't know that it collapsed. Remember when we thought it was going to be like 3 weeks or something? Yeah. And we thought like, oh, okay, well, we won't be in school for a few weeks, but yeah, we'll just wash our hands and it'll be good. And then it just kept getting worse and worse. And then we thought that, like, remember we thought doorknobs were carrying COVID, and then not only that, but look at Victoria. Look at all she's hearing the whole time is death and dying and dying and death and death and dying and dying and death. Right. And so here's someone like Victoria. I'm totally speaking for you. I'm just using you as my
No, so everything you're saying is so true. It's
right. So here you are. You have this. You're on social media, and you better have the perfect body. You better look happy all the time because Julia looks happy and Sophia looks happy. So you better look happy. What do they have that makes them so happy? So you have that, right? On top of Israel and Gaza, whatever going on at that time, and everyone, school shooting, and you're hearing all of this of how terrible the world is. On top of your academic pressure, by the way, which is the only thing that really should be present, not these other things. Then you're hearing death and dying and dying and death and death, and everybody's dying and dying and death, and you don't breathe and don't move and don't go outside, right? I don't know about you guys, but I remember in the beginning of the pandemic, the news had me believing that if I opened the door, I would see dead people on the street. I mean, remember like how everyone dying everywhere.
It was awful.
Here we are. And think about someone like Victoria just trapped in this. What in God's name have I been born into? What is this place called the world? What is this? How do you ever survive this? On top of that are Victoria's parents going like, oh my God, I don't know how to parent this. We didn't have this. What do I do? And I know I'm supposed to be a feeling parent, and I know I have to make her feelings front and center. And then we go through this prison sentence, this lockdown. Isn't that funny that we called it a lockdown?
Yeah.
That's what they call prison, right?
It definitely felt like a prison sentence.
Yeah, it was a prison. People like Victoria get robbed of these crucial social growth experiences. You're supposed to have these awkward moments of weird eye contact and funny things that you did with your hands, and you're supposed to do it over and over and over and over and over again so that you get used to like, oh, okay. This is normal. It's okay that I looked funny that way, and it's okay that I did that funny thing with my hand. But they don't have those. All they have is rectangles. All they have is bust up rectangles where they're looking at each other. If that's, we took away all their activities. We took away all outside play. So now what are they going to do? They're going to doom scroll all day long because classes are weird, because You can't learn geometry on Zoom. It's too hard, you know?
Right.
And then, and we have this chunk of time. We come out of the pandemic. Slowly, all of us emerged at different times, right? We come out of this pandemic. I'm kind of laughing at the world going, what's wrong with our teens? Well, what the hell
I was just going to say, then you tell them, okay, now put your phone away. After for a year, the only access they had to anything, whether it was school, work, friends, or social, like just relaxing entertainment, was a screen of some size or other. And then you literally force feed an addict heroin, and guess what? And then you turn around and say, hey, we're not doing heroin no more. Yeah, right. That's not fair. That you hit the nail on the head. That is exactly why we started this thing in the first place, because we're like, how are you supposed to expect that type of outrageous request from people, especially at that developmental age, where now they've become dependent on it and it's not their fault. And now we have to show them some ways that they can regain control and become empowered to find a balance between the great uses of technology and all the positive sides of the social world and all the things that they need to learn right now at that age. And so I agree with you 100%. Yeah, how the heck are you supposed to? What the hell are they supposed to do? They can't just put it down. They have to have alternatives. And I think you and I talked about this already too. We know that the kids aren't the biggest problem.
Yeah.
The teens aren't the biggest problem.
Are you setting me up for my big point?
Oh, there you go. Here, I'll just lob that right up. You just hit that as far as you can.
Take my swing.
There you go.
All right, parents. It's you. It's you. So if this is a monkey see, monkey do thing. So teenagers were not the only ones who became addicted to their phones, because we parents, we also had all of our activities taken away. We had all of our social circles taken away. Maybe you got your bubble, but your bubble wasn't available all the time. And I mean, let's be honest, you were supposed to be working online, but you were working like 4 hours, right? And then the rest of the day, you're doom scrolling, you're texting friends, you're reading funny articles, looking at funny YouTubes, whatever it is. We also got a little addicted to our phones. Now, it's easier for us to say, all right, that's enough, put them down. But what I have noticed emerging from the pandemic, and I see it when I stand in line at Starbucks, I see it when I'm waiting for an appointment at a doctor's office, I see it anytime an adult is standing still. In my head, I go, 3, 2, yep, there it is. And they pull out their phone. God forbid we adults stand still and breathe the air and look around at the scenery, talk to the person standing next to us. Yes, about the weather. Yes, small talk. And the next person says, oh, I hate small talk, I want to smack them. Small talk is what makes us, is the social lubricant. It makes us connect with each other. You have to do small talk, but you don't see it anymore. Now, if I'm waiting for my drink at Starbucks, I am to pull out my phone and find something to do, even if I don't have anything to do, even if there isn't anything to check, right? If we want to help our kids break the heroin addiction, we have to break our own. We have to stop reaching for our rectangles.
Boom. Mic drop.
Mm-hmm.
Victoria, you like that last part? What do you think about all this?
Yeah, I totally agree. I was gonna say earlier when you were talking about all of like the access that we have to the news and like the world around us, is that I I have memories from that COVID time when things were just starting up, of being at my friend's house where they watch the news. So my mom and dad, like my family, we never watch the news anyways. So like like on the TV at least, not I could still see things on my phone. But I remember being at one of my friends' houses, and they would always have the news on the TV, and I was always like, "Can you guys turn that off? I really don't like to hear all of that." And I was like, "It's just kind of scary. I don't like all that scariness." I remember really not liking it.
You're not supposed to. You're not
Yeah.
supposed to. It's supposed to freak you out because you're supposed to be learning algebra and
Mhm.
and Shakespeare. That's where your brain is supposed to be, right? You're not supposed to be wondering what's going on with Putin and Zelensky. That's not for kids. That's adult conversation. But now, kids are sitting right next to us, alongside us, right?
Yeah.
And its access is killing us.
And the double problem with that, Victoria, also is the fact that in your lifetime, news has changed a lot. It's literally now it's designed to leave a really strong impression on the adults as well. There's a lot of political marketing involved to scare into believing or acting out in a certain way, believing one thing and having a behavior in another way. And we had this huge splitting of craziness happening right around the same exact time. It started a little before COVID, but all of that. So yeah, you are absolutely right to be afraid of that stuff. Like you said, kids aren't, that's adult content, and we don't label it as such. And now that there's unlimited access to everything in the world on a phone, somehow the scary news of the world has become like the standard default for, well, if you're going to be looking at your phone all day, do something productive, like check out what's going on in the world. And it's like, that, what?
No.
I don't know that that's the answer here.
Honestly, I prefer the cat videos.
Totally. Yeah, look at the memes. Laugh at 6'7", but not at cats. I mean, whatever. Okay. But you know what? Also, Victoria, like to your credit, Victoria's parents, they did a really good job with the cell phone thing, and like, you know, I think you have only Instagram, right? Like Instagram as of like this school year, and so that's been like a slow ease in. And so Victoria was already on this show talking about all this stuff before her own social media experience began. And man, it's so different when you have tools before you face the job than being in the middle of the job and not knowing what tools you need. You know what I mean? And so the comparison, and I'm doing the same thing you were. I'm just talking about you like you're not here. I'm like, so this one over here, yeah, you should see her. She's great. But do you still feel that way? Like now it's been one school year. Do you still feel that there's a difference there between you and the other friends? Do you think that it's kind of past that point of no return now?
I mean, not. What was the question? That was a really weird phrase.
Like a lot of your friends, a lot of teenagers, let's just say teenagers.
Okay.
I don't know about your friends specifically, but a lot of teens have access to 5, 6, 7, 8 different 5, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7 or 8 different social media platforms and accounts that they're always juggling. Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, boom, 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 all of these, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then this time last year, 1 year ago, we were on here having a conversation about how you were about to get Instagram. Mm-hmm. And then you were like, I'm going to keep this within 2 hours a day. And I'm really excited to see how I do. And da-da-da-da-da. And then we checked in about, 3 months after that. And you were like, I can't believe you hit me with that question right now live without even warning me. We were laughing about it. You're like, I'm not doing great with it or whatever. But then fast forward, do you feel like your cup is full in the social media realm, or do you feel like you're still missing out because you don't have many other platforms, I guess is my real question.
What's up, all you expressionists out there? Do you need reliable IT support and more for your business? SPJR Computer Consulting delivers comprehensive solutions tailored to small and medium-sized businesses. From seamless technical support to professional website design and effective online advertising, we keep your budget in mind. Don't miss out. Visit spjrsolutions.com today. That's spjrsolutions.com. Your business deserves the best.
No, I feel like it's almost one of those things that like once you have some, it's like never enough. Like I really want to convince my mom for either TikTok or Snapchat because my friends are always snapping each other and they take so many photos and videos on Snap, and I just want them to send them to me, and like I feel like I'm missing out there, and I want to have TikTok because like me and my friends made a TikTok account to just like post videos of us like a friend group account, and like I just wish that I could have it or like could see it. Or they'll always tell me like, oh, did you see this TikTok this person posted, blah, blah, blah? And I'm like, wait, I want to see. What do they say? What do they think? So I feel like it's almost one of those things that it's like, never really enough. Like not like enough, not in the sense that like I should have more, but in the sense it doesn't feel like enough.
Hmm.
Not like, yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess I would go the extra mile to say, first of all, you're onto something there, and the sad truth is, it never will be enough.
Yeah, that's what I meant
That's
by that.
a,
That's what I meant.
it's
Not
like
like
a bottomless
don't
pit that can never, it's a cup that can never be filled. And that's the danger of it, right? Because as soon as it's this one, then it's that one, and then it's that one, and then it's that one. And then your time is completely consumed by trying to keep up with all of them all the time. So it does suck when you don't feel like you're included sometimes, or when they say, "Hey, did you see this?" And it's like, "Oh, I wish I had that just so I could be in the know." But I guess I would challenge you to, well, it's impossible to do if you don't if you don't know, but that is maybe the lesser of two evils. I don't know. Maybe you can chime in on that, Angela. What do you think? I mean, these are really great points, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I was going to use your exact same phrase, lesser of two evils, as I was listening to Victoria. It's mine are little. I have an 8 and a 9-year-old, and every parent can relate to that feeling of nervous energy of like not wanting my kid to be the odd one out, not wanting my kid missed out. Now my kids aren't on the internet yet or not on social media yet, but I have it as a parent. I have uh, maybe all the kids are wearing this particular sneaker, and I think like, oh, I really want her to have that too. And I got to stop myself. So I think every parent can relate to like, oh, I don't want my kid to have that feeling of being left out. So if you accept my premise that all parents have a desire for their kid to fit in, for their kid to have friends and be like everybody else. We if it's no real harm done, if all the kids are, I don't, what's my example? Sneakers. Okay, we'll go with sneakers. So if all the kids are wearing this particular sneaker and it's not going to break the bank and it's actually kind of a cute sneaker, and yeah, I'm going to get my kid that sneaker, right? That's one thing. I went to tangent, and I promise I'll come back. Do you remember when Jordans were really big? I think Jordans are still big, aren't they?
They still are, yeah.
Okay, so
But I remember when they really were, for sure.
remember 100 years ago when they first came out, and all of
When
us
he was
to have Jordan.
when he was winning ring after ring after ring in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah. And so everybody had to have Jordans, and that felt kind of like parents feeling the pressure, the social pressure, like, oh God, my kid has to have Jordans apparently. And then back then they were $200, which I think is like $10,000 to us now. Like ridiculously expensive sneakers back then. And so I want to say the healthy parents were saying, no, we are not breaking the bank. We are not going to suffer harm so that you fit in, right?
Right.
So that would be kind of choosing the lesser of two evils. We break the bank, or you feel FOMO, right? All right, we're going with you feel FOMO, right?
Yeah.
And I think that same idea applies here. When Victoria, when you're talking about kind of it's never going to be enough, and you're acknowledging like, yeah, it's not. It's this abyss, right? It's a black hole that keeps sucking you in. As your parent, and I wonder if your parents feel this way anyway. I would think as your parent, if I'm choosing between you feeling left out, which sucks, and you're going to miss all the funny jokes, and you're just going to have to look at your friend's phone to see the video, or they're just going to have to text you the picture, right? You're going to have to be a little excluded, or I let you in all of that, and you possibly develop a clinical depression that could lead to your demise. Okay, lesser of two evils, you're going to feel left out, kid. Right? So I definitely, I'm strongly urging parents to face their own pain tolerance as like watching your kid be left out and the tolerating your kid coming home every day being, please mom, please mom, please mom, please mom, and holding around, no, because I want in your mind as parents this vision of what happens if I do say yes to this.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe nothing, but the risk that something terrible could happen is so high. I just don't want it to be worth it to any family. I don't want us to do the wrong math there.
Yeah, there it is. I mean, and it is a tough road to walk. I have 2 older kids and then a 10-year-old, and like, I know so many more things. It's like, the ignorance is bliss, right? Like, I didn't know I wish I could go back and do some things differently with my older 2 for sure, with what I know now. But now that I'm going through it again and I know these things, it's almost harder to make any decision because I know the risks. So I'm like, oh gosh, oh wait, okay, so how can I, and then a lot of my work that I do is through a computer, and um, lots of meetings that are, virtual and stuff like that. So it's hard to like find my own balance sometimes in the middle of a day. It's like, you need to eat something, dude. It's been like 6 hours. Like, why haven't you moved? Why have you said in your mind, I have to go to the bathroom for like an hour? That's ridiculous, dude. Get up, go, And so I know how slippery of a slope it is. And I know what it feels like at the same time. So that's even more terrifying. So Victoria, back to what you were saying. Yeah, you know what? You make a great point, and I am hearing the exact example and like the experience I went through with Bella and Ryland, and like I held out for a long time, like for that day and age. Like I held out for a while. I was pretty good, but I know I've told you the story about Bella and what happened with her when she got hers, right?
No.
She was a straight A student. She
No.
she got like this award at Shalom Peaks in middle school in 8th grade for reading like the most books and the most words, and like not only that school year, but in the history of the school and stuff like that. Like she was just a bookworm. She just read, 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 read. But she had a lot of hard times like making a lot of friends. She was pretty and personable and stuff, but she just kind of kept to herself because she was like reading everybody. Like she was just like a little computer herself, but super extroverted, talented on stage and all this stuff. And then, she had like a 4.0 and she turned 13. And at the time we thought, man, she has been asking for a year and it's time. We held out longer than most of the other parents that we know and most of her friends. And we got her a cell phone and then we let her have Instagram. She wasn't allowed to have anything else, just Instagram. And within her freshman year of high school, she was getting, B's with a couple A's. And then she started trying to deceive us and made her own Snapchat accounts behind our backs. And then we found out, and that was a whole thing. And then was texting this boy, even though it was her friend's boyfriend, because they were just friends and they were just talking. And after 6 months of constant conversation, sure enough, I really, really like him, but I don't know what to do. Well, the girl finds out. And that happened 3 or 4 different times, all while we were trying to figure it out. Meanwhile, the last thing on her to-do list, on her priority list, was school. And she ended up barely graduating and got into her like backup school right when COVID hit. Was the end of her senior year when we were about to do Frozen. And then it was a brutal reality after that, because when she moved to the dorm, she couldn't have a roommate, which she was looking forward to. No classes were in person. They were all online. She doesn't do well online, so she ended up dropping out within a semester and had no units to show for it. And during her senior year, she went through a really intense psychiatric episode where she ended up hospitalized for a week and diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and OCD, and still to this day has not effectively dealt with it. And so that did not help when it came to making big life decisions like school and where to live and how to da. And now she has my 3-year-old daughter. And so living at home with her mom. And like, I'm not saying all of that is because I gave her a phone and Instagram. I'm not saying that. Don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm just saying that like I watched in real time live a child that had all of it going for her, and then watched the intense social pressures of the online world start to change who she was in a lot of ways and become this anxiety-riddled disaster of a minefield for her that, ended up causing a lot of other issues. And so she's trying, but that's one of the things that parents, just to, hammer home your point, Angela, is like, that's one of the things that parents have to contend with when they think of what quote unquote risk is. Even the best of us cannot resist a certain amount of temptation when it's right in front of us. And it's ludicrous to think a developing young brain has the coping mechanisms and the experience to battle through way more intense stuff than we ever had to deal with in that regard. So stay strong, girlfriend. Stay strong. You got this. I will have your back no matter what. I swear.
Could I give a really a really hot take, I think.
Sure.
I think that I don't think this is the case for everyone, but I think that my quality of life improved after getting Instagram. I don't think it went down. I think that it went up. I think that things have been more enjoyable and have felt more connected to people I wasn't before because it's just one of those things that like since everyone uses it, that's where you find people now. Like there are a lot of friends that I don't even have their numbers. All I have is their Instagram. And so it's one of those things that people don't walk around saying, "Oh, give me your phone number now." They say, "Oh, do you have Instagram?" And then it's no, I don't. And then it's just, "Oh, okay," and walk away. It's not, "Oh, well then what about your phone?" It's not so much you don't like press it so much anyways. And so I made connections with more people than I would have before, or even just like small interactions. I just have like small interactions with people I wouldn't before. And I feel like when it comes to someone getting Instagram or TikTok or Snapchat, that it's not that much different to something that like I feel like YouTube isn't really considered social media and it's considered like fine for kids to be on, but like my I feel like for me Instagram is about the same as what I would do on it's like the same difference as YouTube because YouTube now has short form content, it has shorts and like that's what's so mind numbing for me at least. That's what like sucks me in. And so I had already had what I consider the worst part of social media for like 3 years before getting Instagram. I like it wasn't a big shift for me. The only thing that comes with Instagram is stories and posts, but like I don't even watch people's stories because I just think they're boring. Like I just don't really care. And a lot of people I know don't post a lot. And so, well, because like I would rather like scroll the content that's made by people that actually know how to make content, not by like all these like eighth graders. I don't really care. But then, so it's just like short form content plus being able to message people and message your friends, which I really enjoy. And like, there's a lot of group chats that take place on Instagram that I wouldn't have like been in if I didn't have it, you know? So it is a thing. But also, two of my very closest friends don't have any social media either. Like, the closest thing they have is YouTube. And they're both some of the happiest people I know. They're both really positive and they're, I don't think that they feel like they're missing out on much. They might feel that way, but they don't constantly complain and say, like, oh, I really wish I had this. They just kind of don't. And one of my friends doesn't even want one of my friends, her parents have let her and she hasn't even made an account yet. She doesn't even really want to very badly. And I think she's really strong for that. I really applaud her for that. But
I don't know that that was a hot take so much as it was a pretty honest evaluation.
cuz
Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, we talk all the time about how like bad social media is for teens, but I just personally haven't found it to be very difficult. And that is definitely not I definitely don't think that that goes for everybody, but it goes for me. I I really, cause I really like it. And I spend about the same amount of time I did on my phone the other time. When you grow up, you just shift from spending hours playing like mobile games to hours scrolling, which I mean, both
You know,
are
we've
really
talked
good.
a lot about that
But
too, though. Like, one of the big things we talked about in the first few episodes was screen time in general. You know, it's
yeah.
not just social media. Screens, like going from YouTube to Instagram, as much as I know what you're trying to say with the point you're making, it's not the strongest argument because screen time has its thing. But for you personally, yes, I can understand why you say that like it hasn't you feel like your quality of life has improved. you also have some things that many, 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 many teens don't have, and that is a really enriching, balanced life. You're actively involved in lots of extracurricular stuff. You're actively involved in your friend group going places and actually doing things because your friends like to go do stuff, not just sit around the whole time. And you guys make movies. You go to like the beach, you go to places, you know what I mean? So like that
Yeah.
there's a difference from the common what we're seeing now, the average, I think. Angela, you could probably speak to this too, of kids that have nothing. They're inner city kids or something like that, or they don't have a friend group, or they don't have good social experience, or they don't have a lot of friends. So they end up in their room for an entire weekend, Friday when they get out of school until Monday morning when they go back to school, and they're just totally sequestered in there and isolated to the max, just searching the internet and the comments and the likes and the that part of it, not so much the story making or the watching, but the engagement of all the hard stuff, I think is a very different experience for you. So I do see why you're saying that.
And that's why I say it definitely doesn't go. I don't think that that's the case for everyone, because I think that a lot of bad things do come from it, and it depends. I think it depends what type of person you are before you spend a lot of time going on it, because if you get it to like fill like a place of like confidence, or if you get it to feel like you belong, or if you get it while you're really insecure, it'll just make all that worse. But like if you think that you're in a fine place and you enjoy yourself, you enjoy being in your own head, like if you make your head a nice place to live all day, then it's really not that bad.
Angela, you were clapping a second ago.
Yes, yes. Well, honestly, Victoria, you might be one of the most emotionally intelligent teenagers I've ever heard speak. First of all, how old are you?
14.
No, you're not. Are you 14?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
That's your.
Now you see why she's on here, right? She was supposed to be our
do.
guest for the first episode, and after that first one, I was like, you're gonna stay now and be here forever.
Yeah. When I was listening to you talk, I was thinking, okay, she looked like a teenager, but she's probably like 35. Um, you're so emotionally intelligent. You're so mature that as I was listening to you, were striking me as the exception. If you are not the normal teenager that I see in my office or that I see around the world, I'm gonna credit your parent. You must have kick out parents.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think sounds like as I was listening, I was kind of in disbelief, like she has not been on long enough. She really is improving your quality of life, and then to hear you describe how balanced your life is, that you do in real life, that you are face to face with your friend, that you actually like breathe the air outside and do stuff and do cool stuff with your friends, like that. I think that's key. I think the most intelligent thing that I heard you say that I was clapping for was when you said it really depends on the person that you are before you come online. I think you should drop the mic there, Jeff. That's your under your opposite.
I know. I know.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're saying when we're talking about brain development. Is that there's no way that gosh, the heartbreaking story that Jeff just told. There's no way that a 13-year-old brain has enough neural pathways and sophistication to be able to handle everything that is suddenly thrust upon her, right? And we're seeing this 10-year-olds, the internet being dumped on top of their shoulders, right? There's no way that they have a person to be like you described in the first place before they come online. It sounds like you had a chance to at least establish your own integrity, establish a sense of core values, right? And decide who you were going to be. And then you introduced yourself to the internet party, right? That's the way to do it.
Definitely. And I as a person, I really enjoy self-help content, and I really enjoy like trying to be the best version of myself. And not saying I always am. Like, I'm not saying I'm great at it, but I enjoy trying to be. And so I even before I had social media, I would just consume a lot of content about psychology, or about like self-help or not, and stuff like that. And so I feel like I have learned more about it than the average teenager, just out of interest. And out of being like out of like kind of like I got into it in the first place by like kind of looking at my life and being like, this isn't how I want things to be right now. And then I was like, well, what do I have to do about it? And so,
Wow. Jeff, we're probably
I know.
getting the future world's greatest therapist.
I know. I mean, I was just about to say, like, can we ask you questions? Angela, do you have anything for Victoria?
I know, right? Can you help me with my life?
I know, me too. But you know what? To prove her point, I'm just gonna brag about you then in that
oh,
regard. And I know I've said stuff like this before, and I've told people, but it's still just every time I tell somebody, especially somebody who works with teens in the world, who sees just lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of them, it's a mind blowing fact that you, of your own, like on your own, decided, you know what? I'm going to get up every morning at 6 a.m. and go running and then
okay, that
stretching
lasted for like 2
and
months.
stretch. No, no, no. You've done that a couple times in the last year and a half. You did it all through Christmas break with Lila. You also did it last summer. And then the year before in that school year, you were getting up to go running and you were getting up to go and do stretches every day, or you were doing stretching when meditating. Like that, do you understand that kids just like almost never do that? Like if you're on a team and you have a coach and other teammates telling you, we need your help, there's a social psychology aspect that is going to really help. It matters a lot that you have this pressure socially, this conformity of, I don't want to let people down. And it's not that it's bad and that you don't like it. It's just, it's way easier to follow through with those things when you have that type of accountability every single day. But when you're just on your own, a teenager in the world, and you're like, I'm going to do these really super healthy things at a really early time, even if I'm tired, like people don't, adults I know don't do that. Adults I know. Adults I know.
It's pretty astounding.
You know what I mean? Like, so that kind of stuff is great. And I hope that others listen to this. And just to go back really really briefly before we move on and start wrapping things up or whatever, but my daughter, when she was going through this stuff, like I said, if I could go back and do things differently, I would. And it's not just that I wouldn't give her a phone at 13, like that is on the list for sure. But the other part is she was in a household that was pretty volatile at the time. My ex-wife and I, there's a reason that she's my ex-wife now, right? Like she was in a battle zone a lot of the time. So it was easy for her to escape and go and do something else. And that is, I wish I could change that earlier. The other thing is, I know a lot about operant conditioning now, and I know about punishment and these things. And one of the things that was bad is oftentimes she was blamed for a lot of stuff as opposed to being talked to about why she was doing certain stuff. So the hammer would be dropped without a lot of good education onto what the proper behavior was sometimes. And that is a recipe for disaster. It's a rinse and repeat. It comes with shame. It comes with guilt. It comes with, well, then screw you. And when punishments are more harsh, we know actually that's counterintuitive because it doesn't change your actual behavior. It just helps you find better ways to not get caught a lot of times. So she was set up to fail in a lot of those ways by the parents that she had in the household at the time, myself included. I'd like to think that I've come a little bit of a farther way by being able to even say that, but just on the off chance that she were to ever hear this and think about that and be like, dude, I can't believe you said that about me. Like, she knows that I talk about her on here, but I do not blame her for any of that stuff. There was a lot of things that could have been done that should have been done that she didn't have control of. So back to your point, Angela, parents, it starts with you.
Yep.
It starts with you. And
Absolutely.
like you said, Victoria's got some kick-ass parents, man. She really does. They're both in the education system, so they work with kids all the time, so they see firsthand. They're also they like to go and do things. Both of her parents like to go and do things, whether it's camping or hiking or go see live theater or whatever it is, go mingle with friends. They model the social behavior or the outdoor behavior and like all the different balances of the things that are really good, and don't rely on screens at all or social media at all. And so she's kind of watched that, which has been really helpful, I think.
Yeah. My mom's really not big on her phone. She doesn't spend a lot of time on TV or the phone.
No.
So that is modeled for me. I definitely spend way more time on my phone than she does, but
Well, you're at the age where you're supposed to be in contact with your friends every day.
like,
It's just normal. So, Angela, I know we just got off on our own show over here, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm witnessing something going on here. But
sorry.
are you? Yeah. Tell us something. Is there anything new going on with you? Anything that, like, some poignant piece that you want to make sure that we cover that listeners need to hear that we didn't already cover, or ways to get help in these areas, or some tricks, some little 1, 2, 3 type of tricks, anything that we've not talked about?
I know. I've got 87. I should choose one.
I know, right? Me too.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so here's kind of a weird answer to your question. How about parents stop looking for tips? So
Ooh.
let's not do little tip, little tip, little tip. How about we do more sit down for a few hours with someone, or reflect, or journal, or really take a look at what you're modeling for your kid. And so rather than try this on a Sunday or eat more protein, right? Try really examining how you are living in the world. What time are you waking up? When are you going to bed? What are you eating? How are you talking to people? How are you talking about people? So check your screen time use. Take a look at how you're living, and then imagine what you look like from your kids' perspective. So what are they seeing in you? And I think that kind of lower, it's your listeners are like, damn it, I wanted a tip.
That is a good tip. Assess the honest situation. Where am I at?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
step
Maybe
one.
yeah, kind of a state of the union with yourself, an inventory of like, whoa, I don't like this or that about my kid, or I don't like how my teenager's speaking to other adults, or grades are going down, or whatever the target behavior is that you're not happy with. Just stop, sit down, ask yourself, have you modeled that somehow? Have you somehow taught your teenager that way of being in the world? Do you notice that your teenager's negative all the time? Well, are you? Do you come home and talk trash about your coworkers and the president and voters and Russia? Like, wait, how are you in the world? So don't no more going on TikTok and Instagram looking for tips. Sit with yourself, sit with someone you trust, and really reflect on what you're showing your teenager.
That's great advice. I mean, I guess a tip would be in addition to, but I think this is just good. Like, start here, right? It's like it's just good instruction in a lot of ways. It's good direction, if you will, because
Yeah.
I think that kind of bleeds over almost into anything. If you think about
Yeah.
addiction, right? Like AA meetings and stuff, what's the first step? You got to get through denial, admit that we're powerless about something, or, and you never know how bad it is until you really look. And there's not going to be, it's not the same as like drug use. You know what I mean? It's not going to just one day, oh my gosh. It's like, you probably already know a little
Yeah.
bit that you've probably thought it a couple times. Maybe I'm not doing this. I should do this more, or whatever. But if you sit down and truly assess a situation, I'm writing about this right now, and um, assessing is one of the hardest things to do, because it goes for the smallest thing. If you pick up your phone and you unlock it and forget what you were going to do, okay, 1 minute. Or if you pick up your phone and you go on Facebook and then you forget that you were supposed to open it to text somebody, and then 33 minutes go by. And like add it all up after a week. And what's that number? What's that honest number? Those minutes count up, just like people used to say back in the day. I remember when I was a kid and I was like, oh, I don't want that one. It's a penny. And my grandpa was like, what did you just say? A penny's a penny. You get 100 of them, that's $1. Like, what? And we were already at this place where the value of that penny didn't matter as much anymore. So now the value of the second seems like it's nothing. Oh, it's just a couple minutes. It seems like it's nothing. Oh, yeah? Why don't you add up all those minutes? And out of 24 hours in a day, if you're supposed to sleep for 8 minimum, depending on what age you are, then how many real minutes / hours are you looking at that screen with no productive purpose other than just to stare at something?
Sing it, preacher, sing it.
It's a hard mirror to look at, man. It really is. Even for me, and it's like it happens to the best of us, and sometimes, like you said, I think you said it best about COVID. You can argue it. Oh yeah, you're working for 4 hours, but then you're also emailing this person. Then you look that up on Amazon, and then you were emailing your grandma back, and blah 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 blah. And before you know it, how much of it was work versus how much of it probably wasn't, And so,
Right.
anyway.
Well, I think that honest reflection, I love what you said, that's the first step, because if you do it right and you do it long enough, the next step will reveal themselves.
Yep.
You'll know what to do.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, last question for you. I know that with the Caldwell Family Institute, one of the things you talk about is your team and the village, right? This concept of a village. And I know that I've always heard, it takes a village. And when I was a single dad, it definitely took all my village to help me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it. So when you use that term, the village, how does that relate to parenting in the way that you and your team approach it?
Okay. Yeah. So I've been that's my crusade lately. I'm talking a lot about the village. I have so much to say about the village. I have a book series coming out about the village. But yes. It is ridiculous to think we can parent on our own. The dumbest thing I ever heard is there's a parenting section in the bookstore, that there's parenting website. Because it makes it sound like parenting is all on the parents' shoulders, and that's stupid. That's impossible. We need the coaches and the teachers and the neighbors and the grandparents and the aunts and the uncles. And so, because we need all of these people, we are bumping our heads up against this what seems to be a contrary idea, which is, I am the parent. I have specific ideas about how to raise my child and what those ideas need to be, and we stay in our lanes, and we talk about, like, I don't want you parenting my child, and somebody doesn't want to step in and parent another child because, well, it's not my child, and I don't. And I say, oh my gosh, we have gotten way too OCD about the lanes. A village is messy. A village has different kinds of human faults and deficits all over the place. A village is full of human beings that are not perfect. And so if you're going to parent with a village, you've got to be a little bit more open about ideas that are not exactly what you had in mind. You got to be a little bit more open about someone not following that very specific rule that you had in mind. It's not going to destroy your child. Social media will destroy your child. That's not what's going to destroy your child, right? If you're going to parent in a village, then you're going to have to accept the idea that there are other adult influences that will shape your child. And that isn't scary. That's gorgeous. That's awesome. That puts different stamps on your child's personality from all different ways of thinking about the world, all different ways of solving a problem. Don't be afraid of the village. Lighten up, everybody. Don't worry about the lane lines so much.
I love it. Yeah, and if you've built a good, solid relationship with your child to where there's a trust there and communication is there, it's not like they're going to take every single thing anybody randomly says as gospel anyway. They're probably going to bring it back to you, or you're going to find out, like, where did you hear that from? Well, maybe they feel that way because in their experience, this, that, and the other. But here's some other things to consider, perhaps, And so, if anything, it's educational on a life lesson level. So that's the term village. That's what it's for. We're the village people.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Dad jokes never fail. Bam, 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 bam. Well, I appreciate that, and I look forward to your book series. And where could people find out more about you and your team?
So it's pretty easy. The website is www.caldwellfamilyinstitute.com, all one word. My Instagram is on there, but contact information is on there. You can even read about all the therapists on the team. You can read about what we do, read about upcoming trainings and stuff.
Awesome. Well, we're so grateful that we got to talk to you today. Any last words from you? Anything you want to add, Victoria?
I just want to say to all the listeners, just to wrap up, I just want to say that, well, this is just a quote that I hear a lot that sticks with me, but you're the only person that's with you all day, so just, like, make your head a nice place to live. That's it.
I love that.
Good advice. Yeah. It can get loud up there. And so you gotta
Don't worry about it.
Boom. You got to be friends with that person. Otherwise, it's going to be a long life. Well, thank you so much again, Angela. We really, really appreciate talking to you and you taking the time with us. And so I'll follow up with you again soon, and hopefully we can do another session sometime in the future.
Oh my gosh, you guys are so much fun. I would love to. Thank you so much for having me.
We'd love it too. Thank you so much. You have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.